for the purposes of our community members to rewatch the webinar. Let me welcome all of you. As already mentioned, please mute your microphones, and for the questions, you will be able to raise your hands, and also please feel free, meanwhile, during the presentations, put all the questions to the chat. And by the end of the event, we will have some 15 minutes to discuss with you and answer all these questions. So you either put them during the presentations in the chat, or later on you will also have possibility to raise your hands. This was just short introduction on housekeeping rules, and I guess we can already start with our first welcome word from Arthur Treguier, who is our project officer at European Commission from Digital Economy, Recovery Plan and Skills Unit. Arthur, floor is yours.
Thank you, Justina, and thank you, colleagues. And sorry for this very long name in my unit. It's true that we added new elements in my unit. So indeed, I'm Arthur Treguier. I'm working in the European Commission, in DG Connect, in the unit which is responsible both for the recovery plan and digital economy, but as well as for digital skills. And I think the topic of today is more digital skills. I know that we have only 1 hour, so I will try not to be too long in my introduction, but still, I believe it's important to give you a bit of context and to explain you a bit what we are doing in the European Commission and what we want to achieve with this Digital SkillUp initiative. The thing is, so in terms of context, this started already almost 2 years ago, and it was a request from the European Parliament in what we called in our EU jargon a preparatory initiative. So the European Parliament asked us to implement this, and with colleagues from the consortium, we try to come up with good idea, with something meaningful, and with something which can bring really impact and added value to the European citizens. So this is really the purpose of this Digital SkillUp initiative. And what we want to do is basically to tackle the digital skills gap in Europe. And it's a lot, and we believe that this Digital SkillUp initiative can be an important and impactful contribution to the objective we set. The thing is, as I said, we started working together on this almost 2 years ago, and during these 2 years, indeed, the pandemic hit us. And we believe that with the pandemic, a project like this is even more timely, because we saw during the pandemic that digital skills were absolutely essential for European citizens, for everyone, just for us to be able to connect, to speak with our relatives, with our loved ones, but also to work, to study, and just basically to be entertained online. And really, we saw this shift to the online world during the past months, and for sure we have all witnessed it. And the thing is, really, we believe that digital skills are key. And when I said we believe, it's more than just believe. We also published recently a communication, which is the Digital Decade communication, which sets very ambitious objective for digital, including for digital skills in Europe. And 2 of these objectives are, the first one is having 80% of the adult population in Europe to have at least basic digital skills by 2030, meaning being able to use internet, to connect, to work on a shared document, for example, to be able to, I don't know, like doing online banking or all these kind of activities that for us is normal, but for many people in Europe are still difficult to do. And the second objective we have is to have 20 million ICT specialists, meaning we want to have more digital experts in the European economy and in the European labor force to be able to develop these new technologies and to be able to strengthen our European sovereignty. And we believe that a project like this, Digital SkillUp, is really important. It's only a starting point, but we believe that for a user being able to understand how these new technologies are working, what are the new challenges, for example, in cybersecurity, this is really key, and this is really the starting point to learn more, to discover more, and just to be able to be more confident in the digital world. So really, this is this is a starting point, but a very important starting point. Also, what I want to say, and then I will conclude, is that this Digital SkillUp initiative is indeed integrated in a larger context. So this is a contribution to the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, which is a platform we created recently, which is really the one-stop shop for digital skills in Europe, not only for emerging technologies, but for everything related to digital skills. So really, I encourage you to engage with us, to visit first the Digital SkillUp initiative and then the Digital Skills and Jobs platform. And I'm very happy to take any question if you have and to engage with you. So again, thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you very much for this quick introduction and the background you provided. And now I will ask our project coordinator, Ms. Viola Pince from European SchoolNet, to explain briefly to our participants about the approach of Digital SkillUp itself and how do we work, what are the goals here, and how we call on our stakeholders to engage with us. Viola, floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and thanks a lot for joining, and thanks, Justina. So I will just quickly share my screen to display a few slides. You should be able now to see the presentation. So as Arthur already very good introduction said, Digital SkillUp is an initiative that is a sort of contribution, of course, to the Digital Skills and Job platform, and well integrating all the action and the agenda on digital skills. And specifically, we are focusing on basic knowledge on emerging technologies and to make it available and accessible and understandable to all European cities and SMEs. These are our learners, like our target audience in terms of learning. And beyond this objective, beyond this goal, so to make really this knowledge understandable for everyone, and also not only the technicalities of it, but also, of course, the implication, for example, for personal development and professional path and learning and so on, but also, of course, for the innovation of business processes. We have also, of course, aim to contribute and to support the development of upskilling and reskilling programs and how this is tackled more in general in terms of improving digital competencies. So as Arthur mentioned, this initiative is been developed since last year, and we launched our website and also the main products, which are 3 courses on various level of digital competences and emerging technologies this June. And we have developed these, as I mentioned, since last year, trying to really work together and collaborate very closely with all the stakeholders involved in these broad, large processes. So last year we started with gap analysis, so with an analysis of the needs, with expert interviews, and also with a survey on the training landscape. So on one hand, we wanted to look what are the needs, so engaging, for example, with, as I mentioned, experts from training providers, academia, but also civil society organization, SMEs, and so on. And what are the needs? What kind of learning content we need to create to cover what is not there yet? And also, as I said, we looked at the existing courses, existing training, and also we launched this survey involving training providers to tell us what they were doing already in the field. And then based on these results, we created our instructional design. So really the concept of the courses, how they should look like, what kind of content we should have, what is the tone, how to address this need really to provide a core understanding. And again, this was done with various experts. And then we had 2 seminars still last year to sort of revise these results and review together with the experts involved in the process. And then we developed the learning modules that you can see, of course, on our website. And this was done also with various experts in the field. So in this case, we put together a team composed by people from various disciplines, so of course, pedagogical experts on the delivering online courses, but also experts on the topics of the various content. And we really worked together for months in this sort of multidisciplinary approach to come together and to develop the final content. And of course, as Justina mentioned, a core point here is that we wish to keep this engagement with all the stakeholders in the field, and also through this kind of online events and co-creating content. For example, we have articles also on the website about practices coming from SMEs or civil society organization, how they've been working on this broad objective of upskilling and reskilling citizens in their context. And this is also, of course, one of the topic of the panel today. And also trying to build more and more a community around this, which is also having a space dedicated on the Digital Skills and Job platform. So very briefly about the courses, in case you haven't had occasion to check them yet, you can find the description as I said here on the Digital SkillUp website, and these are the three courses. So the one on digital revolution, which is focusing really on the process of how we got here, how we got to the present digital society, and what is digital transformation, how this is affecting processes, as we said, in the business environment, but also in services and in everyone's life. The second course, which is the core, of course, of it, is focusing on emerging technologies. And as I said, not just trying to translate technological concept in something that everyone would be able to understand, but also tackling a bit on the societal, ethical implication and impact on various aspects of life. And finally, the last one is focusing on cybersecurity, which is not clearly emerging technology per se, but it was something that we really received feedback on from all the experts we talked about, how this topic of clearly is so important transversally for anything we do related to technologies and services. And just quickly a few words about what you can do with us. Of course, we will be very happy to invite you to take and to have a look at the Digital SkillUp courses, and also to give us feedback, because it's very important now for us also to be able to receive feedbacks on what we've done, and also how these final products somehow are working for you, for people working in a various context. Of course, we also invite you to help us promote the courses and these initiatives. So for these, also on the website, you can find a media kit with various content for social media, visuals, anything hopefully you could use to do so. We will have also a final event in November, and we'll be very happy, of course, to see you there. You can follow information about that in our news section, and we will publish soon the first agenda and the announcement of the date. And also, of course, we invite you to join the Digital Skills and Job platform community, where, as I mentioned, there are also some specific discussion and threads related to emerging technologies, upskilling and reskilling in general, but also, as I mentioned, for SMEs and business and various sectors. And also a bit the topic of today is this option that we offer as an initiative to become an associate member of the Digital SkillUp, which would have a bit more additional benefits in terms of visibility in the initiative. So, and also, of course, the possibility to co-organize and provide active contribution to our events till the end of the year, like today, and then contributing to content, as I mentioned, for example, publishing articles about practices you may have and how you develop them. And of course, also receiving from us dedicated communication materials and organizing other activities related to that. If any of you here today are interested in this option with your organization, then we would invite you to send a quick email to our colleagues, Justina and Alessandra, at the Digital SMEs Alliance, and you can just share a brief presentation of your organization, your interest to join this initiative as an associate member, and a bit what you have in mind in case to support it and to promote, or ideas for organizing something together. And I think with this, this is what I wanted to share with you today. So I will pass the floor back now to Justina.
Thank you very much, Viola, for your presentation. All the links that Viola was mentioning and all the opportunities are also here in the meeting chat if you want to check them. And of course, after the event, all the registered participants will receive a follow-up with all the presentations. So Viola presented a lot of actions and activities that you are all welcome to join. So you will definitely have a chance to check them out directly. So thank you very much again, Viola. And I can only contribute to the calls to have some of you as associated partners for Digital SkillUp. But not waiting any longer, we have the most exciting part of today's webinar. We have 3 speakers who all have some very, very inspiring stories to share with us, as we all did a lot and they did big and impactful contributions to upskilling different communities that we work with. And their stories are something what inspires us in our work, and I hope it can inspire you as well in your campaigns, in activities you are organizing, or for your future campaigns. Let me remind you again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, or otherwise we will later have some time to raise hands and ask some questions. So first one today is Ms. Viola Shishkina. She is CEO of Kachi in SME, which itself faced some issues of hiring right talent. And therefore, we started a nonprofit initiative called Female Switch. Violetta, please, floor is yours. Tell us a bit more about who, what, and how.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. Yeah, let me share the screen so I can show a bit of the presentation. Right. All right, I hope you can see it. All right, so yeah, my name is Violetta. I'm the CEO of a legal tech startup in the Netherlands. I've been doing this for more than 3 years. And of course, in that 3 years, we've had a lot of different hurdles that basically every startup goes through. And yeah, some of them are connected to HR, some of them are connected to running the startup itself, some of them are connected to funding, so all the usual typical things. And that's...
Violetta, I'm so sorry, we see your screen, but not the slides, we see the Teams.
Sorry, let me try to do it in a different way. It's always like this, it worked during the testing and it doesn't want to work during the actual run. Let's do it like this.
Much better now.
All right, okay, sorry for that. Yeah, it's always a technical thing with a technical startup. All right, so as I was saying, yeah, being a legal tech startup, a deep tech startup, we saw a lot of hurdles. So during the pandemic, we decided to actually start our own nonprofit, which sounds like a bit of a crazy move, but it turned out to be one of the best decisions that we've ever made, because we saw that there's a lot of startups that are facing the same issues as we are, and we have a way to help them and help ourselves. So we created Female Switch, which in one sentence is a serious role-playing simulator for future female entrepreneurs. Let me talk a bit more about what it is. So the reason why it's important to play this game, to play this simulator, is based on research that shows that previous startup experience kind of increases self-perceived confidence in both men and women, and in women it's even more than in men. But how do you actually get this startup experience without running a startup? Because, well, you don't want to run your first startup and fail it just for the sake of the experience. That's why we thought that creating a simulator, a game where our users will be able to create a virtual startup sounds like a good idea for them to gain that startup experience. And the role-playing aspect means that the users are able to play either as a startup founder, a mentor, or an investor, and that allows them to experience the startup ecosystem from different angles so they better understand it. The actual push was given to us by the Dutch government. They announced a call that they desperately needed more women into technological startups. And seeing as we feel like we are one of those startups that the Dutch government wants, we decided to apply for the call. And they validated the idea. They said that it was very scalable, very engaging, very innovative, but they didn't grant us the funding because they didn't believe that we were going to make it in the time that they provided and with the budget that was allocated. So for entrepreneurs like us, that was a challenge that we accept it. We thought, hey, we're going to build it anyway because we love the idea, we think it's great, and we need to have that. And that's exactly what we did. And we built it, we bootstrapped, we built it ourselves without any funding in less time that we planned, and with, of course, less money that was allocated. And we even managed to pilot it, and I would like to talk a bit about how we did that. Seeing as this webinar is about engaging the community, I will talk a bit about this. Seeing as we're new, we've only been doing this for a few months. We're still, of course, testing and trying different methods. Our ideal user is a student, a female student or recent graduate, and therefore, of course, we need to figure out where they're hanging out. And we turned to LinkedIn and we turned to Instagram as the two main sources of community creation. And for example, during the pilot, we had this challenge where our users had to use something that's called an Instagram mask and basically try out the new tech. If you don't know what an Instagram mask is, don't worry. I didn't really know what it was either until we hired some Generation Z people who, of course, they live online. So they created this this mask, and it was a very engaging procedure for our users because it allowed them to kind of within the game figure out how to use new technology. What we also do, we also started a flash mob where we are asking support of women and men in IT and in technological startups to support the initiatives, to kind of hold the poster, and we are creating a video flash mob. So at this moment, I think it's around 66 people that have participated, and we aim to continue with that. We're also constantly A/B testing our website. We're changing, we're iterating. We're trying to play with hashtags. We've created this name, Gamepreneur, and this is what we call our users because they are entrepreneurs, but in the game environment. And we also promote the fact that they do not necessarily have to be interested in founding their own startup, but also increasing their digital skills that even working in a startup requires. They can, of course, get certified with us so they can bulk up their CV and get hired by any company. And of course, we want to create the community that they will be part of, and that community is not going to be limited in time of their participation in the game, but it's a lifelong engagement. A few stats about the pilot. The first pilot that we ran, we call it Code Orange because we are based in the Netherlands. And of course, we wanted the first one to be dedicated to the Dutch startup ecosystem. And that attracted a lot of attention. On the photo, for those of you who are not Dutch, you probably don't know that person, but this is the brother of the Dutch king, Prince Constantine, and he's a big supporter of emergent technology and of female entrepreneurship. So of course, we're very thrilled that he is aware of what we're doing and is supporting us. What we've done during the pilot that lasted for 4 weeks is we created a lot of content. Now we realize there was a bit too much of content and our users were a bit overwhelmed. So next time we'll of course try to dose that. But the best part was of course the game and the quests that we created in that game. And those quests are actually for our users to learn how to do stuff. So an example of one of the quests is to create a landing page for a certain project. So we give them a tool. As you can see, some of the tools are mentioned here in the slide. We give them the tool that's called Tilda that allows for anyone to be able to create a landing page very quickly. We give them a tutorial that we've created. We give them someone who we call a game master, so a person who helps them to do these things. Of course, there is a time limit, and then they have to deliver the result. If they do, then they earn tokens, in-game tokens, and that, of course, allows them to proceed further and further. We absolutely wanted to have the monetary aspect in the game to make sure that the users understand how startups work. Like if you have 10 tokens in your account, you need to strategize and figure out how you're gonna spend that money. The results of the pilot are, of course, quite small because this is an initiative that was run just by us, by one startup, but even those results already show the trends. So we had, without doing any ads, just posting a few things on LinkedIn, we had 40 users sign up. We chose 15 of them. 7 of them actually did enough to receive something that we call a life certificate. That's an updatable certificate that is kind of like a portfolio. We had almost 30 users sign up for the newsletter, and one user proactively decided that she wants to become our ambassador. And the best part, I think, is that one of them was actually hired by us after the pilot. So the fact that she participated there for 4 weeks allowed us to kind of see how she does things, how she behaves, how she deals with deadlines. And we decided that we wanted her on the team. Thank you for your attention. And please visit femaleswitch.com if you either want to talk to us or to sign up for the pilot, or if your organization would like to donate something so we can support our development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Violetta. Just to answer the main question of today. So what do you think were the most important elements out of all that you presented that allow the success of your initiative?
The most important elements, yes, that I don't think there is one. I think it's a combination of different ones. Of course, I think the hardest one that we need to figure out how to do is how to engage, how to create the community and how to engage them. Seeing as there are so many initiatives that are targeting the same goal, even in the Netherlands, there's, I don't know, a lot of them. And on one hand, that's great news because everyone's working towards the same goal. On the other hand, of course, then we need to be able to figure out how to present that we are unique and to make sure that our users understand. That's why we're iterating. That's why we are communicating with our users all the time, changing things, using content marketing, using different kind of like I mentioned, flash mobs but for different generations. So we're trying to see what works for one generation, what works for the other, because ideally, even though we are targeting young females now, ideally we want to target other groups of people, of course. Why we are not doing this now is that content needs to be created specifically for a certain group in order to for them to get more value. But other than that, in order to reach our goal of creating diverse companies, diverse startups, we'll of course need to figure out how to make sure that every user that comes to us gets what they want out of it.
Thank you, Violetta. If you have any more questions to Violetta, please write them in the chat, and then we will have some moments in the end of the webinar to reply to them. Now I would like to ask Piotr Mieczkowski, who is the Managing Director at Digital Poland, to tell us about your experience, your organization's experience with upskilling campaign in Poland. Piotr,
sure.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Let me show you also the short deck. So first of all, I'm representing Digital Poland Foundation with our dream, which is to make Poland one of the leading center of digital innovation in the world. And we have several activities, but one of them is Digital Festival, our third edition. As you can see, the date is fixed. It's a binary date, 011010. So from 1st October till 10th of October, we are doing a festival. So to make this dream come true, to educate society, we created Digital Festival in 2019. So 3 years ago, there were 3 action points. One was the digital competences. The other was to promote products or services and promote Poland as an innovation hub. So several chambers agreed to cooperate. We were the leaders to run the initiative. We just finished 2 weeks ago the third edition. We had 400 partners, 150 events all around Poland in 20 cities. We supported more than, and then I will talk about it a little bit more, almost 100 free online courses, many digital discounts that were offered by our partners, 30 podcasts. We've made 12 spots, several ambassadors, 3 reports, 2 guides, and we are united under the umbrella of European Digital Days, which is the umbrella which united Switzerland, Germany, Sweden, Ukraine, Vienna. So that was just very briefly a couple sentences about the festival. So we focus on polls, but we presented them, you know, how for example, a senior could work in a digital economy. So we use the hashtag, it's in Polish, nie daj się wykluczyć. It means don't exclude yourself. So we're communicating using a word that you have to be in the digital world. So we had a huge marketing campaign. We were present in all channels, from TV, through radio, you know, press and digital out of home advertisement. Then what is important, and that's I think one of the key elements to success, was that throughout these 10 days, every day was about something different. So we started with My Culture and Art, where we started a second contest of art created by AI. And during that each of the day, we distributed several articles, several podcasts. We presented several guides. On the left side, you see the orange one is a moderate senior. So we distributed the guide to seniors in electronic version, and a modern salesman, which is the how to enter the e-commerce. On the right side, and but I will later on talk a little bit more, is that we cooperated with influencers, with very famous people, and with CEOs. So on the right side, on the upper right, you see, for example, Piotr Ciski, who is a CEO of Symphonia, of a huge accounting company, which is offering accounting as a software as a service. And then you have you see a guy in the glasses, who is a very famous journalist in Poland, who is a critic, in terms of fields, and with them we've made interviews. Why digital is so important to them, how they become successful, for example. There are many pillars of the festival, but this one I think will be the most interesting one for you, which is the SkillUp Academy. So what we did, we've made let's call it a very small search engine. We linked 85 free courses, including yours, which is the Digital SkillUp. So we put them on our web page. We make a filter, like does it need registration? You know, what is the category? What is the topic? Is it the cloud? Is it a cybersecurity, e-commerce, etc.? So we mixed all those things on our website, and we also cooperate with several influencers of very famous people in education work, like Pan Belfer on the right side, and on the bottom, Peter Psylos, who is very famous in AI. So the one idea to move maybe even to talk about how we don't want to do it, because we believe there are so many content, there are so many initiatives all around in the Poland, also in Europe. Then we figure out that it's the best way to promote skills is actually to promote other courses. So we didn't make any course. Of course, we did some very short videos, like 5-minute videos, but we are pushing other content, because, as you know, there are Coursera, Udemy, there are many free courses all around the world. So we promoted others. We had Innovation Night, which is a long night of museum when everyone is opening up. We also had the digital discounts, you know, because unfortunately, as you know, people don't, you know, engage with education because it's much easier for them to watch Netflix or do something different. So we try to give them a real benefit, like Cyber Monday. So every partner of the festival, and I'm talking about 400 partners, every one of them could offer real discounts on products, like 50% off newspaper, 50% off on something. And that really also gathered people to our festival, because on our website there was a search engine where you could find a benefit like 30-day free or something 50% off. The other pillar was events, ours, but also our partners, and several initiatives like digital fitness. On the right side, that was the quiz for kids, which is also happening in Slovakia. And on the left side, the second edition of Digital Arts. So which is the contest for art created by AI. As I mentioned, the key to success from our side was very famous people. So first of all, we ran several interviews with very famous people. On the bottom left, there's a very famous Polish journalist. Now he's very active in YouTube because he left the public TV. On the bottom right, You see Robert Makłowicz, who is a very famous, I think even the most famous one, kitchen critic, I would say, the food critic. And now he also moved out from TV and he's very active in YouTube. So we with all of them, we've run interviews and presented them in the biggest portals. Additionally, we work with influencers, the most famous one in Poland, who are very famous in several channels. We also had content like reports about subscription, paperless, about Society 5.0, and 2 guides that I already mentioned, like how to enter digital world and modern cinema. And of course, like I said, we didn't have even €1 from European Union or even €1 from Polish government. It's all about private sector. So we gathered 400 partners, and thanks to them, we could deliver the whole festival. So in very, very short, that's a brief story from Poland.
Thank you, Piotr, very much indeed. A lot of good elements that I think people can use in their own campaigns and get inspired. Which one has proved to be the most impactful? What was probably the best one to reach the audience?
I mean, it all depends on the audience, because if we talk about seniors, then we for example engage with the radio, because radio is very popular within seniors. We also, for example, buy paper ads in the newspaper, normal newspaper, where we were promoting the free guide, how to enter digital world. But on the other side, when we were trying to reach young people, like I said, we bought several influencers where they put within their program, they put our content, like, for example, with Matura to Bzdura, which is the program, very famous. It's a comic one, by the way, about education. So the guy was asking the Poles about the very famous scientific achievements of Poles, but also the people from abroad. And at the end of the program, he went, "Hey, you are interested in that? Then look around the Digital Festival website." And because of that, we just had 1,050,000 views, for example, right? So I think it depends on the audience. If you target the young one, then you should go for the YouTube, for Facebook, Instagram. If you look for the older one, I would rather go for the radio, newspaper, and try to move over there, because it's a different audience, different channels.
Great, we will have more questions for you, because I see that there are some questions from the audience, but let's keep them for the end. Thank you, Piotr. Meanwhile, I would like to give a floor to Liz van der Piete from Moonputs Lab, a public library here in Brussels. Liz, your floor is yours.
All right. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Yes? All right, perfect. Yeah, so I work for Moonputs. We're a Dutch-speaking library based in Brussels. We're an information center, a library, also a communication house. So we're kind of also on a mission to also expand, our function in the city. And I'm here to talk about the new makerspace/media lab that we started recently. Actually, a few weeks ago, we did the opening. Because libraries, as we know, are of huge importance as an informal learning space, also for digital skills. And so we rebuilt our 5th floor. Unfortunately, I can't show you. It's actually right here. Really as a media lab, a co-working space, atelier also to host workshops. And the media lab space really has 8 really professional work stations, also with a lot of software, a lot of digital tools that are available also for students, but also for a lot of people that come here and that did ask those type of questions. So it's kind of an experiment ongoing, and also we're trying to see also how we connect also the users to new software and to new kind of workshops that we are going to develop in the future. So the idea is to really build communities now as we go around certain topics. One of the first experiments that we're going to do now is around really storytelling and podcasting, for example, but we've also had boot camps around video montage, also vlogging and blogging and those kind of things. So the idea is to really give a platform. Oh, you can't see me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh yeah, because I saw a remark that somebody didn't see me.
No, everything is
okay,
perfect.
so okay, so Yeah, so the idea is to really really give the space to the makers itself, and then for us to be more like facilitators or guiding them through that process. I only discovered the Digital SkillUp programs last week, actually, through Libraries 2030, through Iona that made the connection. So I went through the workshops and everything, and I did see some links also towards, you know, us as librarians, because of course, it asks a lot of new skills also to, how now like manage this new makerspace. And I think in a lot of ways also there were a lot of topics that I thought were super interesting also to delve in myself. I myself, I see myself more as a community builder, so I'm not always a digital expert, but then I think these kind of courses can also help to set like a certain baseline to learn also, you know, on a deeper level certain things, and then to pass them on also to other people, and to have this informal learning also going on, you know, here. Last time I talked to, I mentioned also the apothek that we do here. It's basically also a kind of first aid platform for digital problems and challenges that people have. So we have a lot of people also coming into the library that sometimes, you know, are dealing with bigger or smaller issues. It's a lot. Sometimes the conversations are about like privacy settings that they don't know a lot about, or even login issues, or like the smaller or bigger issues that they come with are very, you know, varied. So I also saw like this cybersecurity thing. Like I think that is also really nice for us to be able to, you know, train also our trainers, and to be able to have like also towards our public, you know, a little bit more expertise on certain things. We also did experiments with VR also now in the Media Lab, also to make it more accessible towards mostly also children and youngsters here, because VR, AR, and even mixed reality things are still, I think, very much inaccessible to a lot of people also here in the city of Brussels, and also a lot of organizations sometimes don't have the budgets to, you know, really work with it. So yeah, we did kind of experiments also here to really have kids, you know, code their own VR, you know, setting, and then, you know, to not only make them like a passive, how you say, consumer of VR experiences, but to also say, okay, look, you can also really code them yourself. You can really imagine a different type of world. And then from there, you know, they can also have the VR experience and walk through it and learn how the technology works and this and that. So yeah, as librarians, I think also it's dealing with all these emerging technologies, which can be a really big challenge. So in this sense, yeah, I think the SkillUp also could really help to deepen, you know, that knowledge, and to also, you know, get in touch with different things, yeah, and to become also better, you know, community builders, and also, you know, pass that knowledge along. So yeah, this is basically in a nutshell a bit my perspective from the librarian side, which was a bit different from the other pitches, but well, I can send the grid more information on the grid, like the media space that we have now. I'll put it in the chat. I'll put the Instagram tag, so you can just also follow what we do. Voilà.
Thank you very much, Elise. Definitely, please put the link so that everyone here could follow, and then we will also share it with the follow-up with all the registered participants. Great. One more question. So what has been for you the most successful ways? How did you really motivate, and how do you incentivize your community? Because what you have is going very much bottom up. So what do you think were the most important elements for you to engage with citizens here?
For me, it's also finding really the right ambassadors. I think it was nice to see we did a lot of experimenting, like program-wise. We had a lot of different topics that we did workshops around to really see, okay, where can we really find communities that are doing stuff around it? And then you find really ambassadors that actually have a beautiful network already that is there, and to be able to, you know, engage that here and to create a platform for them, and to really leave it also up to them, the ownership also towards them. That's super important. Yeah, that's been a really nice thing to see. Certainly, like with the podcasting thing, it really is something that grew really small, but then became like actually really big. So we have a big community now around it, and yeah, that's a nice development. So ambassadors, I would say, and ownership.
Great. I see that also Piotr had influencers as ambassadors. I'm wondering, Violetta, if for you this is also, there have been some inspiring ideas from the other speakers, because I think you mentioned that you faced the biggest challenge in really somehow getting to the community and getting them to participate. Did you get any good ideas around from other speakers?
Yeah, I think all the ideas are great, and we've been, of course, either trying some of them or they're on the list for us to continue trying and seeing if they actually work for us. I think, yeah, the ambassador thing was not on my agenda until one of the users actually told us, hey, I want to become the ambassador, let's do something together. And of course, yeah, if she wants to take the initiative, definitely we're going to figure out how to make that work. And yeah, in general, that's one of the greatest things. But of course, the biggest problem for us at the moment is that seeing as we're bootstrapped, we have to figure out, do the cost benefit analysis before we actually do something. And as much as we would love, of course, to engage influencers, we have to figure out if we can afford this at the moment. And yeah, that's why we are putting a bit more effort now towards the nonprofit towards getting the tax exemption status for the companies who will donate to give us, you know, a bit of room to test.
Indeed. When we have one question from the audience, from Finian to Piotr to you, would you be interested in adding more content to your thematic days?
Adding more content? Well, actually, I would say we had too much content. You know, we had, like I mentioned, 30 podcasts. You know, normally 30 podcasts for 1 year. We just published that within 2 weeks. Then we had like 7 influencers. Most of them, you know, for example, created program for us. We had a couple live, you know, couple live on TV or radios. We had a mass campaign in newspapers, etc. But I believe, you know, it depends on the audience that you want to target. Because, for example, you know, we wanted to be very big and to be very present and visible in Poland. That's why we go for the newspaper, radio, TV, etc., etc. But I think it all depends on the goals that we want to achieve. Because, like I mentioned, for us it was several goals. One of them was the SkillUp Academy. But we had the innovation night, we had partners within the digital discounts, etc. So I think the education one, the goal to reach the audience that you want to convince them to enroll and then, you know, finish your course is a very tough one. Because, for example, when we are the partners for elements of AI, and we see that I think 15 or maybe even 10% of people which enroll to the course actually finish the course, because it's like 20 or 30 hours. And education actually is not the topic that is very popular. Like I said, many people want to do something else, like watch, you know, TV or something else. So I think it's very hard to convince people to just to make a campaign around education, like, hey, just, you know, finish the course. I think it has to be something bigger. We just to maybe share some insight. For example, we are about to publish our report at 16th of November. And the report is called, you know, the report is about skilling, and we ask the CIOs, so the chief IT officers within several companies, and digital shapers, which are the leaders of digital in Poland, and we ask them about skilling, how to upskill, reskill, what is better, you know, and what is interesting. On the second level of the ideas, I mean, on the second place of ideas, what is the best idea to convince the people, employees, to reskilling or upskilling, was that the board of members, and it's a tough one, the board of members should be an ambassador of such an initiative, and he's supposed to finish the course and present the certificate. And it's a very tough one. When I try to reach, you know, CEOs in the Polish companies, you know, the same for state one, none of them, or maybe 5%, wanted to present the certificate, because I don't have time for that. I don't have time to get, yes, we have to educate, but it's for employees, not for me. No, I'm educated already. So that was really funny. But on the other side, you know, the employees don't want to do it because the CEO or the board of directors or the board, no, they are not interested. So why, for example, Elements of AI was very successful in Finland? Because first of all, I believe, you know, maybe it's from my mind that it's, I think the president or prime minister finished the course. You know, there were many CEOs from famous companies like Nokia, etc. And I tried to do it the same in Poland. You know, I reached out to Polish prime minister, I reached out to Minister of Digital Economy, etc. None of them was interested in finishing the 30 hours course and presenting the certificate. So the problem, at least in Poland, you know, that's my experience from Poland. You know, that is very hard to convince the CEOs, and like I mentioned, 48% of CIOs put this as a second priority, which is almost the first one. And the best idea, you know, but it's actually like stick and the carrot. So the best idea was actually to create a career path where you can't, you know, you can't get a promotion, you know, to become like, I don't know, manager, director, if you don't finish several courses. So I, for example, in the past worked for EY, which is a consulting company, and every year you get a promotion. You know, assistant 2, assistant 1, blah blah blah, consultant, senior consultant. You know, there was whole ladder, but every year you had to finish several courses within your journey to become a manager or the journey to become a director. So I believe the career path, I'm talking from corporate perspective, there should create a career path. And on that career path, they should put like, but before you will become an expert within that domain, you have to have, I don't know, 11 certificates, you know, in that domain, right? So I think that could be, maybe be an interesting point, how to convince people to the trainings. So mandatory trainings, actually. If you want to be an expert, then you have to get the mandatory trainings.
Thank you, Piotr. I think that also gives some interesting ideas, because as part of Digital SkillUp, we are also developing upskilling pathways for SMEs, which SME organizations and SMEs will be able to access in Digital SkillUp as well. So this a little bit confirms the approach that we have, that pathways are also important, that there is something what employees would know that we could follow. So that's indeed a very, very interesting point. Meanwhile, if anyone else has any more questions to our speakers, please do not hesitate to write in the chat or just raise your hand and we will give the floor to you. While I have another question, because we speak about emerging technologies and skills for emerging technologies within the Digital SkillUp. And all of you deal with digital skills from perhaps a bit different perspectives. So the question would be, according to each of you, what are the most important digital skills that you think society and people, workers are still missing? And perhaps not only digital skills, but then on the other hand, also what are the side skills that could support also the digital ones for every profile or every person? Just a short answer out of curiosity. Who would like to start? Liz, maybe with you?
That's a hard question, huh?
If you want some time to think.
Yeah, actually I do.
Okay, Violetta.
When you're asking what is the most important skills, that's one of the questions we also ask CIOs, but you have to keep in mind that's the CIO, so the chief of the board member responsible for IT. And in terms of skills, actually they put analytics, which is the business intelligence. In the past, it was called business intelligence. Later on, now it's machine learning, etc., or artificial intelligence, a new buzzword. But it's all about analytics. So making a decisions based on data. That is because on top of that you have a critical thinking, you are structured, etc. So for them, for CIOs, actually it's a top 1. In top 5, there was analytics, there was a critical thinking, there was a collaboration, which is creating teams and work within a multicultural domains. And the last one, I think it was about the creativity, which is figure out new concept and try to engage within this concept and try to make new products and services, which is all around innovation. But analytics was a number 1.
Violetta.
Yeah, I would like to answer your question without answering your question.
Okay, as a politician.
Yeah.
I have a response for that.
As an entrepreneur who has been living and breathing that, it's not so much a digital skill, but it's a skill I think every individual needs. I call it startup mindset, but that has actually nothing to do with startups per se. It's imagine we were all living our normal lives and then the pandemic happened, and how differently all of us reacted to that. A lot of people just try to hide it out and hoping that it's going to pass and then their life will resume. Others immediately realized, hey, I need plan B. They started doing something. So it's this mindset that allows you to learn a new skill very quickly, including any digital skill that you need in the moment. And I even like to call it to be able to be a CEO standing for Chief Everything Officer. So you need to be, you're like a Swiss knife of survival, right? You need to be able to have that skill that allows you to quickly figure out how to educate yourself, to be able to do something. And that's exactly the attitude that we're trying to teach our users.
I would agree completely with that. Actually, you resumed it also, I think maybe also for our position as librarians or community builders, also the Swiss knife thing, it's really true. Like you have to be able to, how you say, adapt really quickly also towards new trends, new technologies, new things that come up, and also to democratize them also for a lot of the visitors and citizens that we have here that visit us here. But towards the visitor side, it's very diverse. Huh? We have so many different levels of skills from, like I said, like the basics and even, setting up your account or, like that's really also the, how you say, the differences that are also in the city. Like there's a lot of people that are not even on that basic level, yet. That also we can, help them take the first stepping stones. And then on other levels, it's also, on more like what I said with the VR thing, like also experimenting with more advanced technologies and also making it accessible or looking at it from another point of view, even with gaming. Like also we have a gaming station also here in the library, which a lot of people actually don't like, but it's also a way of engaging conversations, of getting youngsters here. So that's it's always interesting to see that.
I see that also people in the audience agree with you. So I see Tan Mezzini is actually saying it's complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, and then people management. So more or less what all of you were stressing different points here. So it's nice that we also have the same feelings from the audience. And meanwhile, we have Johan Barros raising his hand. Johan, would you like to ask a question?
Yes, Justina, thank you very much for that. So I'm Johan Barros, I'm from Accountancy Europe, and that maybe gives you a hint to the nature of question that I'm about to ask. So at Accountancy Europe, we believe that when it comes to the digital upskilling of SMEs specifically, so we're talking about the SME managers, the SME employees, etc. We see a lot of potential for key intermediaries like accountants and chambers of commerce in kind of encouraging that digital upskilling and giving them advice of, for example, on the available training programs and what would best fit the business profile, etc. So I was just wondering if any of the panelists have any experience or if you're aware of any programs in your countries where basically it is about encouraging these chamber of commerce or encouraging these accountancy associations to focus more in this digital education of their SME clients, and whether you think that this might be something interesting. We actually published a paper on this recently. I'm happy to put it on the link here on the chat. Thanks very much.
Who would like to answer this one? Piotr, it sounds a little bit more like in your domain, but if you don't have an answer, then
but the question is what was the question? I think you were asking about whether chambers engage in education, right? In upskilling the society. Do I get it correctly, or it was about something different?
So basically just acknowledging that chambers of commerce and accounting associations could have a role to play in encouraging digital upskilling of SMEs, and whether in your countries you have been liaising, for example, with chambers of commerce, with accounting associations, to basically encourage them to encourage their members to help their SME clients in digital education. Yeah.
Well, I'm aware that EY, for example, is a huge accounting company in Poland. It runs EY Academy, and one of the three pillars is the digital skills. So for sure they are engaging, but in terms of chambers, the biggest chamber in Poland, which is a chamber responsible for IT and telecoms, they have even set up with government a council. But the aim of the council was to advise government on the how to call that, the job positions that need to be filled and for which job position you should apply and what is the career path starting from the primary school, secondary school, university, because we need, for example, 1,000, I don't know, new AI specialists. So it was about rather advising government on how to build more digital skills based on new career path. Because, for example, there are no subsidies coming from EU or from other countries if you don't have this job name with the areas what is he responsible to. So they had to make new documents about, for example, create a new job title called AI expert and create a career path for that.
Indeed, as my own organization is an association for SMEs, so on national level in different countries, for sure, there are a lot of collaborations as SME associations definitely work promoting digital skills. Perhaps we can take the last question from Tan Mezzini before we conclude today. Tan, please. I see you've been raising the hand. Can you unmute yourself? Okay. Perhaps we cannot hear Tan. Actually, it shows that you are unmuted, but we unfortunately cannot hear you. I see you are trying to mute and unmute, but there is no sound, Tan. Perhaps you can still write down your question, and if needed, we could try to follow up with you also by email. Meanwhile, to conclude, no problems, I see he's saying sorry. To conclude, maybe the last one sentence for each of the speakers, and then we definitely close because we're running out of the time. I wanted to ask all of you, so what are the next steps? You are doing great initiatives here. What's your future vision? In 2 sentences, perhaps. Would you like to start, Violetta?
Sure. I think our vision is to create prediction model and figure out if we can actually predict entrepreneurial success first within the game, and then the more ambitious goal is to extrapolate the results and see if we can actually do the same for the real world. What that helps us with is figuring out which direction to steer each individual to increase their chances of success.
Liz, what's your vision for the future? What's your next goal?
Yeah, I was just about to say I really have to leave the meeting because I'm replacing a colleague at the desk. I just had to move, so I'm really sorry.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was a very fixed time scheme for me, but thanks for this inspiring talk.
Definitely, thank you very much, Piotr. So you have a chance to close.
We will be focusing on in 2020 about how to, how to make digital festival much bigger and how to encourage other countries to join the European Digital Days initiative, because we all united around digital skills. We were thinking what unites us, and we wanted to, skip all the tough talks, even the talks for politicians like, US, China, Europe, China, etc. So we wanted to focus on skills, and that's why we are running this SkillUp challenge. The Switzerland will finish that in, I think, 10 of November. So for us, 22nd will be about, enlarging the SkillUp Academy. So I would love to get more details on how to engage within the Digital SkillUp, your initiative, how to promote those courses. Because like I said in the past, in my previous speech, there is a problem of too many content, that problem of too many companies, and I think at least in Poland we are all running, to reach the same audience. So we changed the concept that we promote others. We focus on audience, how to reach them, how to engage with via influencers, famous people, celebrities, radios, etc. Creative concept. But we take courses from somebody else, because I believe there are so many courses already. LinkedIn is offering for free the LinkedIn opportunities. I think Microsoft Learn is also offering for free content. I think there's too many content, not enough learners. That's the problem, I believe.
Thank you very much. So thank you for both of you, and for Liz, who is not here with us anymore. Thank you for the speakers and for sharing your experience, and for all the attendees for following the event and for your engagement in the discussion. As also already pointed out by Piotr, there will be this chance to become associated members with Digital SkillUp, and then additional visibility and collaboration opportunities that were also presented in the beginning by Viola, and there are further discussions that are ongoing in European Digital Skills and Jobs platform. Once again, link is in the chat, where we invite everyone from today's event to also join, check out what is happening there, and perhaps continue with our discussion in there. So, of course, we will send all the links once again to all of you immediately as we have a follow-up from the event. So it was our pleasure to hosting you today, and thank you very much, and hope to see you soon in our future events and webinars.
Yep.
Viola?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.